What's going on, everybody? Brett here, and I'm back with some more Total War Warhammer 2 2v2 multiplayer action. Gonna be joined today by my friend Triiari, and this was a fun one. We did a bunch of games together. I think this was the last one we did. We had some pretty gracious opponents. We were just messing around. They were just messing around. We took a lot of different maps, a lot of different builds, and we just try to find fun synergies and just have a good time. So let's see if we were able to do that. So this is a pretty cool map. This map has a bit of terrain that is kind of unique and a bit honestly unfair. We took advantage of it, and I think we needed to against our opponent's army. We had the ranged advantage. Our opponents decided to go ahead and play as the Warriors of Chaos and the Vampire accounts. They had some aerial units in the form of just the Blood Dragon, Vampire Lord, and the Terrorgeist. But Triari was kind of ready for that. He was like, you know what, I want to own this, guys. Let's get, I think he took 2 Frostheart Phoenixes. I see here he has a Star Dragon, which is the biggest, baddest thing in the skies, except for maybe, honestly, the Blood Dragon Vampire Lord on his dragon. Just with all the buffs and debuffs, self-healing, things like that, he's pretty scary. And then Alariel the Radiant to give us that healing, which is really effective on the Tomb King's units and on some of the elite Phoenix Guard that he brought to kind of help us hold the line. So he does have the Keeper of the Flames. He has 2 standard Phoenix Guards and just a large amount of Spearmen, 3 Spearmen in total, to help me hold on this high ground position, because I'm going to be trying to take the fight to our opponents with a Bone Giant, shooting that magical ammunition. Right now I'm targeting, did I completely whiff? I think my first few shots went into the Mirror Guard, who are the Regiment of Renowned Chaos Warriors. Super cool looking. They have their shields up right now. Silver shields, 100 armor. They just have great stats and are immune to psychology, and that one is going to hit home. We've already killed 5 models, but soon I'm going to notice just how elite the Chaos Army is when I see all of these Chosen. So there's just tons of them. Right now, my Ushabti, I've got 3 of them on the high ground. One of them is the Chosen of the Gods, and they're just going to be raining death on these Chaos Warriors, but soon I'm going to switch up to the Chosen with halberds. I think there's 2 of those guys. There's 2 standard Chosen, who are just probably pound for pound some of the strongest infantry units in the game. And they're going to be looking to get into our front line and mix it up. I've just got cheap skeleton spearmen here forming the kind of first row of defense. But then in the back, I've got my tomb guards with halberds. So the Vampire Accounts player looks like he's trying to sneak. He's just trying to use the weight of his cavalry to push back here and shut down our fire. Now, the Black Knights, great anti-large, and no doubt they would love to get on these Ushabti. But I've got just enough halberds here in the form of my Tomb Guard to stop them. And my lord is going to be Cetra the Imperishable on the Kimrian War Sphinx with 2 of his, most cheap spells, so that we can proc his passive healing whenever he does cast. And just a standard 2 prince here on foot to try and anchor the line. Helm of Discord, probably the most overpowered thing about the Blood Dragon, honestly. He's been getting chased by Alariel, by the Star Dragon, and he's kind of had enough of it. He's going to go down onto the ground, and that's going to really muck up the Frostheart Phoenix, muck up the Star Dragon, and prevent them from gooning him out. And with his invocations of Nehek, he's going to have a good chance of topping himself back up. Now, the Blood Knights just died. We managed to kill all of them. The Black Knights died. They probably would have had a better chance of going up and around. However, Triari had enough spearmen to kind of cover this flank. But where we're really starting to have trouble now is that the Chosen are starting to mingle in with my very cheap skeleton spearmen. You see here, I have the Joss incantation of Cursed Blades, giving them some armor piercing, but that's not really what's important. What's important is, if you look down in the bottom left, every time I cast, you'll see it pop up here. My Tomb Guard, my Skeleton Spears, all those units are getting healing buffs. So the Terrorgeist, being surrounded by my Carrion, I took some Carrion just in case we also face just a huge amount of flying unit pressure, and using the Carrion to tie down the Terrorgeist, let the Frostheart Phoenix do the damage, and I felt like that would be really effective. I took Cetra the Imperishable here into this infantry blob, used his AoE ability to kind of blast them, and then I was trying to be very mobile, but something that I did not expect was Archaon the Ever-Chosen, very good against the Tomb Kings with all of his fire magic, but he also has the Slayer of Kings, which can give him huge weapon strength. I don't think our opponent took it here, but even still, with Kindle Flame and his fire magic, he'll be able to do a lot of damage versus Cetra. And you'll see here he's going to spring into action right below this huge aerial battle. I've got some of my Ushabti shooting into the skies, trying to lock down the Terrorgeist, trying to pick off the Blood Dragon. And yeah, we're holding the front line for now, but between the Grave Guard and the Chaos Warriors, all of the skeletons that are coming through, we're having a bit of a tough time. And some fire magic here that looks like it must have belonged to Archaon, and he just roasted all of his own Vampire Count's buddies. And right now we've got the Phoenix Guard getting that Star of Avalorn. Throughout the battle, I've been using some of my buffs from Cetra to buff up the Phoenix Guard and try and keep them in this fight longer. And right now, trying to get some Earth Bloods. I'm asking Triiari to help because Archaon is wrecking me. With Foe Seeker, he's super fast, and I'm having a hard time getting away from him. So I'm trying to run in and amongst all of my units. You can look at a sweet charge here. Cetra, on the Chameleon War Sphinx, I mean, his mass is enormous. And we need some Earth Bloods. That's a pretty good spell there from Archaon. That's going to be dumping into the Keepers of the Flame. It has good armor piercing. And yeah, it's going to hurt him. And because Cetra dropped below 50% HP, his first pops, and that does damage in an AoE around him. But the Blood Dragon also drops in here with heart piercing to try and goon out Cetra. And the Helm of Discord is going to be weakening us. Sorry guys, I had a bit of a cough there. I've been talking for like a half hour straight playing Forager, and my voice I guess is going. But you don't have to hear me talk to see how awesome this battle is. So breath attacks going off from the Star Dragon. Luckily the Blood Dragon has reached his healing cap, so there's no more healing for him in a dragon duel in the air. You don't get to see that synced animation very often. It looks like the Star Dragon came out on top there. There's also a White King here, which is a very good choice. And he's going to do just fine versus Spearmen and versus Phoenix Guard. He has an anti-infantry bonus, and those are exactly the type of units that he wants to be fighting. Alario has been pretty safe here on her Great Eagle. Meanwhile, the Chaos player has been very good about pushing these Chosen into my Ushabti. But by the time they've gotten back here, they're very damaged. Only 22 models left, and I have just enough Ushabti to turn and fire on the ones who are attacking me, while the other ones are engaged in melee against the Chosen. And Ushabti are not pushovers, especially the Chosen of the Gods, who are a Regiment of Renown. And yeah, at this point, I think the Blood Dragon can be driven off probably just by Alario. Even though our infantry is tattered, almost all of my Tomb Guard are gone. Almost all the Spearmen are broken. My Ushabti are, I mean, they still have a good bit of ammunition. They could keep firing for a while if they were free to do so. You'll see the burst fire coming in from the Chosen of the Gods, wrecking the Grave Guard. And the Bone Giant's still online, only 25 kills, but he's been firing at some pretty important targets for most of this battle. And yeah, I think he was set to fire at the Blood Dragon, but since he just went down, he's now free to start shooting into big blobs of infantry. You'll see with that one shot, he picked up 8 kills, so quite a lot of AoE damage on those shots. Let's see if he hits anything else. Oh yeah, shooting into the back of these Chaos Warriors. Oh, and the Gore-Beast Chariot, we kind of missed them, but they had a hard time finding a home this battle, simply because there was just so much spear infantry, so much anti-large and halberd infantry, that they really had a tough time. Only 19 kills on them. They really needed to be rear charging, and unfortunately there was just no good targets for them. Had I gone really wide with cheap skeleton soldiers and, you know, had Triiari gone a more traditional build instead of going for the flyers, the Gore-Beast Chariots might have just had a field day running over us. And that looks like it's going to be it. Yeah, I mean, there was still some pretty scary Chaos Chosen here, but there was just enough Phoenix Guard getting healed, and in the last like minute or so, Triiari was using his Earth Bloods to top off Cetra, so that I was never really in much danger of falling. But Cetra gets 100 kills, my Ushabti Greatbows and my Bone Giants really forcing the opponents to come to us. My Halberds and my Skeleton Spearmen holding that front line for as long as I needed them to. Meanwhile, Triari's Phoenix Guard did tons of killing. The Star Dragon, in conjunction with the debuffs from the Frostheart Phoenix, proving to be a pretty effective goon squad against any flying lords. And Alario just giving us that great backup healing. Archaon had one bad flaming head that honestly crushed his his allies' infantry. It was probably just some zombies and spearmen. But at the end of the day, I mean, anytime you kill like 100 of your own allies' units, that feels pretty bad. But his Chaos Warriors and Chosen did a great job of punching through my front line. And with just a bit more support, maybe if those undead cavalry hadn't been running to the front line so eagerly in the very beginning, he might have been able to rush in at that point and really shut down my Ushabti. And it could have really been a whole different game at that point. I like the Sternsman, I like the Grave Guard, I like the White King as an additional source of leadership. Because, I mean, if you ever lose your leadership as the undead, it's rough. Your units will start to crumble, but having one more source of encourage on the battlefield can sometimes make the difference. Yeah, I think throwing away the cavalry in the beginning was a little rough, and I think not having any sort of air support or anti-air on the side of the Chaos. I mean, if you cut maybe just one of these Chosen units, perhaps just a standard Chosen or maybe the Mirror Guard, I think for the price of the Mirror Guard, you could get 2 Horseman Marauders and just have some extra cavalry for flanking, like light shot cavalry, but also have something to deal with any type of air unit, and just add a little bit of more versatility to the front line. And I think if the Chaos player was going to go so heavy on the infantry, which is basically all he had, then the undead player should have augmented that by maybe getting a lot of monstrous units, a lot of cav, and an air force, some fell bats to kind of help out the blood dragon. I think if you're going to take a flying lord, you almost always want to have some sort of cheap chaff flying unit. If your lord is undead, take fell bats. You know, if in this case, Alero the Radiant, I kind of didn't want her to be alone, or even the Star Dragon sometimes can get caught out by a lot of fell bats and have a hard time for the entire battle. So that's why I brought the Carrion as kind of a cheap sponge, a DPS sponge, so that the Star Dragon could perform at its best, and that way Alariel would not be focused down as well. Of course, we had the high ground, which Anakin can tell you is something that you absolutely have to have if you hope to win any battle. So anyway, guys, that's going to be it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Sorry my voice gave out there. I know it was probably a weird moment. But can't just stop casting because your voice gives out a little bit. I need to keep some water next to me in the future for when I do that. But fun battle. Look forward to many more. Some a bit more tactical than this. And others are just going to be other players playing. And I'm just going to be casting it. And I can't wait to see them. But guys, if you want to send me replays, go ahead and add me on Steam. I'm Good Talk Gaming. Tell me who you are if you're a subscriber, and I'll shoot you out an email that you can send replays to. And I check it pretty much daily. And I get a lot of replays from a lot of different subscribers, and I need to start casting more of those. And yeah, let me showcase your talents, guys. All right, that's it. Take care, guys. I will see you in the next one.